Hi, you all. Happy Thursday. Hopefully, you have checked off reading and math and are now getting ready to start on vocabulary and writing. So, let's scroll down to those slides and take a look at what you're going to be doing today. So, Thursday is morning work, vocabulary, and writing. Your writing for your daily writing is answering the question, what do you dream of being in the future? So, what are your dreams for the future? It could be an occupation. What do you want to do for a job when you get older? It could just be things that you want when you're older, a family, to travel, a type of car. What dreams do you have for your future? And then this is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the wife of one of our former presidents. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. So it's a really nice quote. Throwback Thursday. This is something that you should have learned in first and early second grade. And we just want to make sure that you can identify two parts of a sentence and put them together to make sense. So you have four parts over here to the left, and they combine to make two separate sentences. So Frankie the Frog liked to have dinner with Frankie, likes to eat flies, would you? So you need to be looking for the two that begin with capital letters because those are going to be the beginning of both of your sentences. And then you need to figure out which remaining part of the sentence makes sense. And then you're just going to retype the correct sentence in the two boxes here to the right. Throwback Thursday. In first and second grade, you spent a lot of time learning about money. I know money can be kind of difficult because in our society, we don't use a lot of money anymore. We use a lot of cards. So if money is a challenge for you, I'm going to show you a strategy here in just a minute. So this one is a word problem where you're going to have to identify which one of these combinations equals 55 cents. And then you're just going to type that letter. So if you think 1 quarter and 1 dime equals 55 cents, you type A. If you think 2 quarters and 1 dime equals 55 cents, you type B, etc. How many sides does this shape have? Can you name it? So the top part, you're just putting a number. The bottom part, you're naming the shape. If you're not sure how to spell it, just do your best. If you get the red line underneath, you can click it, and it should give you the correct spelling or give you options of which one's the correct spelling. Okay, this one here, my best advice for you is to start with the largest amount of money. So start with the bills and then go to the coins. Start with the larger coins and skip count by that increment and then go to the next largest. So quarters are worth 25 cents. That's the largest value of coins that are shown. Then dimes, which are 10 cents, nickels, which are 5 cents, and pennies, which are 1 cent. Now, if you are somebody who you haven't used coins in a while, sometimes counting money is a struggle, I want to show you something that you can do. So I'm going to try to get, here we go. I want to insert a shape. I'm just going to do a dot. If I can, I'll just do a little circle. Here we go. So I'm going to put a little circle, and then I'm going to fill it bright blue so I can see it pretty well. Okay. And then I'm going to copy it. Control C is copy and Control V is paste. So each of these little dots is just going to represent 5, me counting by 5. So if I'm counting by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 5 5s is 25. So a quarter would have 5 dots on it. So I would do Control V until I had 5 dots, and then I would organize them on the coin. So each of my quarters would have 5 dots. My dimes, I would put 2 dots, 5, 10, because a dime is worth 10 cents. And a nickel, I would just put 1 dot because a nickel is worth 5 cents. And then for your pennies, they're worth 1. So you can just do a straight line for 1, or you could just count up by 1 after you've counted the rest of the coins. So if I was pretending that I had all the dots on there, it would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And I would count by 5s until I counted all those blue dots I put on there, and then I would start counting up by 1. And like I said, that is only if counting coins is something that challenges you a little bit and frustrates you. That is a strategy you can use to help you count the coins. Otherwise, if you've gotten pretty good at skip counting by different numbers, skip count by 25s, then add on 10 and skip count by 10, add on the 5, and then count up by 1s. You're going to put the dollar amount down here. Because we have bills, you need to make sure that you are putting the dollar sign first, and then the bill amount or the dollar amount, decimal point, and then the change. So $4 and something amount of change. If your change goes over 100 cents, or if it goes 100 cents or above, that means you have another dollar. So you may have $5, you may have $4. You just need to make sure you're paying really close attention to your change before you write down the dollar amount. Okay. Vocabulary word for this week. We're going to be working on different character trait vocabulary words to try to build that up. So the word that you are learning is greedy. This picture gives you a definition for greedy and also an example of like what someone does when they're greedy. And then I've already put sentence starters. These are not answers. You need to complete them. So what behaviors would you see in a person who is greedy? The behaviors I would see in a person who is greedy are, and then tell me some behaviors, which means some things that people do when they're greedy. Okay, and then you're going to complete the rest of this sheet. Once you're pretty confident, you understand what greedy is, and you've completed everything with that word, you are going to move on to a character traits writing assignment. So this is a would you rather character trait wise. So they're kind of difficult because sometimes they give you 2 really good character traits and you can only choose one, or sometimes they give you 2 horrible character traits and you have to decide which one of the 2 not so good ones you would rather have. You can't say none. That's not an option. I'm sorry. You have to choose one. So the first one is, would you rather be honest or brilliant? Why? So me personally, I would rather be honest, because even though being brilliant, being very intelligent is a great quality, if you're not an honest person, then people don't really want to be around you. They don't trust you. And I think being brilliant and lonely would be miserable, but being honest and having a lot of really good friends would be a better choice for me. So that would be something that I would write. But like I said, I want to see what you think. So make sure you are choosing what's best for you, and you have to explain why. So I would say I'd rather be honest, comma, because, and then explain why. Number 6, you are coming up with your own rather. So you're going to come up with 2 traits and then tell me of those 2 traits which one you would rather have. On the other side, you have a passage, and it says rewrite the story so that the gingerbread man is clumsy. If you do not know what clumsy is, you need to go back to that tools tab, and press dictionary and type in clumsy so you understand what they're asking you to do. Then you're going to rewrite the story. So you're going to change the story to reflect, to show that the gingerbread man is clumsy. And how would the story be different? Okay. And then I believe this is the last one. Yes. The last thing you're doing is combining writing, poetry, and vocabulary. So a couple slides ago, I told you to make sure that you really understand the word greedy. Okay, so take your time on that. Make sure you truly understand what that word means. You could give examples. You've made connections in your life. Maybe you've been greedy or you've witnessed people who are greedy. You've seen it happen, because that's going to help you with this assignment. This one is supposed to be a little bit more challenging, but it's also supposed to be creative. So Kwame Alexander is a very talented American writer, and he writes a lot of fun poetry. Poetry, a lot of people don't think poetry can be fun. They've always been exposed to poetry that's like about nature or things that they're not always interested in. But Kwame Alexander writes poetry about everything, all types of information. And so I picked two of his that I thought you all would find fun: Crossover and Calamity. I recorded a video of myself reading those. So if you would like to hear me read it instead of reading it yourself, you can watch that video. Now you're going to be creating your own poem based on the word greedy, just like he wrote poems based on these two vocabulary words, crossover and calamity. I've already done the title, which is the word greedy segmented into its syllables. I've already given you the phonemic spelling, so that's just how it's heard. That's what the word sounds like. And I've given you the part of speech. It's an adjective. Your job is to create at least 2 stanzas, which means groups of lines in poetry. They need to be separated by pressing return twice, so you get a space between the 2 stanzas. So you're only doing this first stanza and one more stanza, unless you really want to make your poem longer. But you only have to have 2 stanzas. Your first stanza is the definition of the word greedy in your own words. Okay? So he wrote the definition of crossover in his own words: a simple basketball move in which a player dribbles the ball quickly from one hand to the other. So when you write your definition of greedy, don't write it as one sentence. Separate your sentences into different lines of poetry, even though it's just going to be probably one sentence describing greedy, what that word means. You should not have the word greedy in your definition. Just want to say that one more time. You should not have the word greedy in your definition. Kwame Alexander does not have the word crossover in his definition. And then your second stanza, second line, you start with as in, just like all of his. As in, when done right, a crossover can break the opponent's ankles. As in, Deron Williams' crossover is nice, but Allen Iverson's crossover was so deadly, he could have set up his own podiatry practice, which is a foot doctor. So you're going to come up with your own little story, little stanza of poetry using the word greedy, and then some examples, or a detailed example, I should say, one detailed example that we could visualize. So maybe a sibling has done something really greedy, and you can describe exactly what they did. That would be a really good poetry stanza. So just think about it. In my video, I gave some examples of mine. I will say I hope yours are better, because I came up with mine on the fly, and it's okay, but I'm excited to see what you all come up with. Read and reread Kwame Alexander's examples to give you some inspiration, and I hope that you all get really into it and you have multiple stanzas. That would be really fun. So if you have any questions, please let your teacher know, and have a great Thursday.